So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and tonight I'm joined by Drew Rizzo. He's the drummer for the band. The band is held. Oh my God, sorry about that. Midnite Hellion. I was gonna say a different name, and
All good.
yeah, I
How
was
you
gonna.
doing, Hector? Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So all of a sudden I was gonna say Helion Cat. And I'm like, what the hell? No,
Oh, you cat.
Midnight
That's
Helion.
something out of He-Man.
Yeah. So we're here to talk. They have a new album and a tour coming out this year. So we're here to talk about it. So Drew, how are you tonight in New Jersey?
I'm doing excellent. We just had a nice rehearsal yesterday. Was beautiful weather yesterday. Today it's getting cold again, so we're still not out of the winter yet. But all in all, getting into hibernation mode so we can hit the road come the summer and fall as well.
Awesome. So I listened to the album. I know you guys formed in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct.
So, for people who haven't listened to the band, you're a mixture of like classic metal. It sounds like that new wave of British heavy metal with some thrash elements to it.
Pretty much, yeah. That definitely is a good summation of us. Um, all in all, we kind of get influence from everything. So not even just heavy metal, rock and roll, classical music as well. But yeah, just the sound in general, I guess you could say, is just straight up heavy metal with some thrash elements in there, a little bit of speed, a little bit of something for everybody, basically.
Yeah. And I know you formed this band in 2011. So yeah, usually it's not the drummer who forms the band, but it's happened in the past. So tell me a little bit about the how you guys got together.
Well, pretty much, the initial idea that I had for Midnight Hellion was to do something similar to like a rainbow type of band, where it'd be that type of structure with a single guitarist, bassist, lead singer, keyboardist, and drummer. Obviously, that never happened because we never got a keyboardist, so it never went into that direction musically. However, we still kept into the ethos of like traditional heavy metal, traditional rock and roll type of sound. Just basically at the time, nobody was really doing anything like that, and I just really wanted to do something that wasn't so much speedy or deathy or thrashy anymore because growing up, I played in a death metal band as a teenager. So I'm getting older. It's time to slow down a little bit, all that good stuff too. But in general, just the sound, I was just going back to listening to everything that I had in my catalog, my collection. It was like, let me just start writing different. Let me just write from the heart and get everything good to go in that regard. So I found a like-minded person in Rich in 2016, who's the bassist and the singer of Midnite Hellion. And we just went full speed ahead with everything. And while I am the drummer, I also do play guitar too. So I'm one of the primary songwriters in the band. So everything's been rocking with that regard too.
Nice. So this is your baby
Yep, indeed.
in some respects. So are you glad you didn't get a keyboardist?
Yes, I guess in hindsight, I mean, for atmosphere, it could be cool, like if it was done right. But in hindsight, yeah, especially trying to lug around a piano or a keyboard would not have been a fun thing.
No,
Especially with a Leslie speaker and like a Hammond B3 organ or something like that. That would not be easy to do.
no, I'm guessing it would not. So yeah, the band formed, and so this year you're going on a tour with the legendary Udo. And this tour was supposed to be last year, correct?
Correct. Yes, it was supposed to be in November of 2023, and it's been postponed till September of this year, 2024.
Well, yeah, at least it's happening, and I have the dates here. So I think obviously supporting Udo, it's he's a legendary singer who started with Accept. So how much did you have to pinch yourself to know that you're gonna be opening for him?
Quite hard. It was it's definitely going to be a really fun time, a dream come true as well. We had actually had the fortune of sharing the stage with him back in 2017. Yes, 2017, when he was doing the Dirk Schneider banner. And we just did a one-off show with him in New Jersey. And it was great seeing him and seeing him do all the songs to the top level and everything. So very excited about seeing this night after night with the Udo band proper, since I've never actually had a chance to see UDO since they don't really come to the States very much. So I thought that would be perfect for us too. So not only am I going to be able to enjoy a great concert every single night, it's going to be great for everybody. It's going to be a great crowd, great time, and I'm just really looking forward to this.
No, yes, it sounds like it's gonna, you're gonna be in a lot of places from September to October, so it should be fun. And I like the picture you have here for the tours. Who came up with this?
That was actually a concept from my fiance. She and I work on a lot of the artwork together. I'm sorry, one second. I'm just silencing my phones. Give me one second.
Yeah, that's damn phone. So
Exactly. I thought I put it on, but I apparently did not. Okay,
so so
here
you're
we go.
gonna
I'm
your
sorry.
fiance you work with this because it's pretty cool. I like the wolves and stuff.
Oh, thank you. Yes, she and I do a lot of the art direction together. So to make sure everything's good to go with that regard, she's a very creative person, so she helps out with a lot of the behind the scenes with some of the art direction. She helped come up with the concept with me with the album cover as well. With
Which
the
we'll talk
guitars.
about soon about the album cover because
Oh yes.
it's a pretty cool album cover.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, so we just came up with the concept of, let's take over the USA. Let's rock and roll. Let's have a great time. I don't know if you had seen the previous artwork that had been on the most recent tour shirt or not, with Sebastian, our wolf, coming out of the map of the US, but that was based on the same idea as this. Like, okay, well, first it was just the single wolf, the lone wolf. Now it's a trio because we're a trio as well. So let's bring more into the pack.
Yeah, yeah. So for you, like growing up, which bands were you like initially got you into rock and roll and metal?
Initially, well, I grew up in a household with both of my parents that were into heavy metal, rock and roll. Well, more rock and roll, I should say, than heavy metal. But based as they were children of the 60s, so they had a lot of like Led Zeppelin, a lot of the Woodstock groups coming through. So we had Sabbath on the turntable, Hendrix. The Who was a big one for me. And actually, my main inspiration to start playing the drums in the first place from being around 4 years old was watching videos of Keith Moon and just seeing his wild antics. Like, oh man, this is incredible. This energy is great. But Beatles, Stones, all that good stuff, very much penetrated my eardrums at a very early age. As I got a little bit older and discovered some of my own stuff on my own from the radio and such, Metallica was a big thing for me. Megadeth, Sabbath, obviously, as well. Deep Purple, Judas Priest. So I was pretty much into like the classic heavy metal, a lot of the thrash coming up. I'm not sure if you remember the subscription Columbia House or BMG. So
Yes. Are you trying to age us?
I think I am,
I
but then
think
again, it doesn't
I
feel that
think I
long
still
ago.
owe money to them.
I got a collections from them not too long ago. Saying like, oh man, it's like, dude, I never ordered this. I paid off all my bills in full with it. It's
What
like
do you mean?
they're
Did
trying to
you
get me
get
for like,
CDs from Columbia House in 2024?
oh no, this was maybe 10 years ago. They sent me a
Oh,
post-dated thing. Not I'm
yeah.
sorry, not 2024, about 10 years ago, rather. So with that regard, it's like, okay, come on, this is so long ago. I already paid that off. I never even ordered that CD. I think it was like one of the starter pack country CDs or something like that. It's like, okay, I definitely did not order that title from you.
Yeah, so for the young people who are watching this, back in the day, before streaming, before everything, you have to buy CDs, and Columbia House was like you could buy like a lot of CDs like for like a subscription or something, and they would send them to you. I think they had shirts too, but when you said that, oh my God. You totally gave our ages away. Yes, I totally remember that time. But you know what? It was a fun time because uh when you discovered a band, I think you really love them because now everything's so easy to find that I think
Exactly.
people is harder to commit to a band.
I agree completely. And that was exactly my point with that too, was because when I was growing up, I was born in 84. So I missed a lot of this stuff as it was happening, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So when
I'm actually older than you.
are you? Oh
I
man,
was
I thought you
born.
were younger.
Well, what age do you think I have?
I would say early 30s, to be quite honest.
I'm 46.
Wow. Would never have guessed that.
Yeah, I got the good Puerto Rican genes.
Exactly. Lots of sunlight, right?
Well, you have to get protection, but yeah, no. So yeah, I was in this in those times for the Columbia House and things. But yeah, like we were saying, like you committed to bands, like you all like you usually you save money to get all their albums and stuff.
Exactly, yes. And when I was growing up, a lot of the stuff was already out of print too. So you would be lucky to find anything that was like a new old stock at a store or even like at a used CD bin or something like that. So once in a while, they used to have the blowouts too, like Columbia House. And one time or another, there was the Metal Blade catalog that was just being
Mhm.
blown out. So I got all the Metal Blade era Slayer records for couple bucks each. It's like, okay, this is awesome. I can afford this. So then I just started building more and more of my catalog that way. They actually sent me, I want to say it was when I ordered Guar's Scumdogs of the Universe. They sent me a copy of Anthrax's Among the Living by accident. So it's like, okay, that's cool. I
Oh, that's
could never
cool.
find that anywhere. So like, hey, this is nice. Thank you guys. Because before then I only had Anthrax on vinyl because couldn't find the CDs anywhere. Again, they were out of print. I got lucky on finding what was it? Spraying the Disease. Yeah, Spraying the Disease and Fistful of Metal I was able to find used, but that was it for a very long time.
Yeah, awesome. So let's talk a little bit about Midnite Hellion, the band and the album. So the album I'm gonna show the artwork. It's pretty cool artwork here. So it's called Kingdom Immortal. So tell me, tell me a little bit about the inspiration because I got vibes of like I felt like Power Slave, but in Greek times.
That's actually a pretty cool analogy because I never even thought about that, to be honest. So our mascot Sebastian has basically traveled back in time to the Greek Empire, and he's basically Zeus on Mount Olympus. And Kingdom Immortal concept was kind of thought about to be like when all of our favorite bands or band members pass away, their music is still legendary. Their music is still immortal. They are immortal. So like, so where do they go when they pass away? Kingdom Immortal. So it's just kind of like an homage, and if you will, to everybody that's passed on, but their music lives forever. That was the initial concept. Is okay, well, let's see where we can go with this a little bit more, and then bring it back to the Greek times and all that too. Um, so the artwork itself was actually done by Fastner and Larson, who have done some other album covers for Overkill. They did Under the Influence and The Years of Decay for them. And
Nice,
actually they
great
did
albums both.
absolutely, yeah. So I was just looking into different styles, like for different album artwork for this time around. And that was something that kept going back to was their style, because they have the comic style without it being over the top comic, still had a little bit more realistic. They do a lot of like pulp art and all that too. So it's like just looking at their catalog of what they had, I thought they would be a perfect match, and they were. So they did this artwork for us, and they also did the latest tour shirt as well for us. Not the image you had shown, but the one we just did with Anvil. Was that last April? Yes. So
Nice.
uh,
I
they
remember talking to Steve from Anvil like a year and a half ago.
oh nice. Yeah, Steve rules. All the Anvil guys are great.
Yes, he's quite a character.
Indeed.
He's got some cool stories. So yeah, it was a fun time. So you got what's the name of the mascot again?
Sebastian.
Sebastian. Yeah, he does look like a Sebastian.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
he's on different adventures every cover. So this time
well,
brought him back
that's
to
something that's very like classic metal because I was talking with someone else about I think recently in another interview, and we were talking about like mascots, how mascots have been like kind of missing.
Mhm.
So I talked to a band that also is bringing that new style. They're called Hands of Goro, and they have a mascot, but their mascot is Goro, who's from
Oh
Mortal
wow.
Kombat. Uh,
Yeah.
but you have Sebastian. So yeah, tell me a little bit about like how you came up with having a wolf as a mascot.
That was actually titled off of one of our earlier songs we had that was predates both Kingdom Immortal and Condemned to Hell. It was called Hour of the Wolf. And we were coming up with a different idea of like what can we do for a mascot here? It's like, well, werewolf would actually be pretty cool because we could do different things with him. He doesn't necessarily need to be stationary in one place. It's kind of like he could be transformed anywhere, anything. He could be any person or any inanimate object in some ways too. So like depending like on the creativity behind it. So like, it works out too. Plus also the name Midnite Hellion. So past the stroke of
Mm-hmm.
midnight, or where the werewolves come out. It's like the old wives' tale. Nothing good ever happens after midnight. So it kind of all tied together. It's like it's a good visual for the band, I think.
Yeah, well, when I think like the most recognizable mascot obviously is Eddie from Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's like you chose a name too, Sebastian. And it's like why is he named Sebastian? But it's like what are you, it would have been like you would have named him like Wolfie.
Well, he is Sebastian Bark, the wolf gone wild.
Sebastian Bach. So yeah, the album cover really, yeah, I got like Power Slave, but in Greece. So yeah, it's a cool album artwork, and I think when I saw it, when I got the promo and I read, yeah, I'm like, this looks like a fun record, and yes, it is a fun record. I already listened to it, uh, and I know you have 8 tracks here, so that's another thing. 8 tracks. That's very classic heavy metal because when you think about it, all the classic metal albums like in the 80s, they usually had like 8 songs, mostly 10. But 8 was like so you would have like 4 songs on side A and 4 songs on side B.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
that's like the very like classic thing to do. So I know you have like you have a single for HMO. So talk to me a little bit about this song and the video.
The song is completely autobiographical, and it's really about just never giving up on yourself, always believe in yourself and your dreams, and make sure that everything you're fulfilled with everything you do. No matter what the hurdles are in life, just keep going, keep moving forward. And pretty much everything that's kind of said in this song itself is something that's happened to us one way or another. It might not be relative to the times, but we actually did do a little bit of like a time travel for it. So like the initial part of it was kind of like different decades. So the first verse is more of like the end of the 80s, second verse is like the 90s when everything started kind of going away for heavy metal. It's like, but then again, it's like, you know what? No matter what, there's something saying that heavy metal never died. I got to keep going. I gotta keep doing this no matter what. Dreams are going to be fulfilled, even though the dreams of yesterday are not here now, not happening in real time. One day they'll be back. And then, lo and behold, nowadays, look what we have a heavy metal explosion worldwide yet again, even though we had decades of doldrums. That's actually not a bad album title, Decades of Doldrums.
Maybe write that down for the
Yeah. But then it gets a little bit of a negativity too. It's like, okay, this is the bad years.
for the, for the follow up. Yeah, it's a good track, and I got some Anvil vibes from it on
And
that.
vibes as well. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. It's funny because the Robbo was saying to me at one point on one of the tours we did with them, he's like, I hear some of the influence that on you guys from our sound. And I'm thinking about it too. It's like, well, we grew up listening to a lot of the same bands, even though we're a generation or so apart. We have a lot of the same musical influences. We were brought up similar values, core values, and all that. But even like listening to the same drummers, just me and him alone. Like both of us are really into Cozy Powell, really into Tommy Aldridge, all that stuff. It's like Black Oak, Arkansas, all that fun. Like White Snake, Ozzy, so we have a lot of like the same ground from there. So like it was pretty cool in that regard. But also about the video, back to Anvil, we filmed that all on the latest tour we did with them. And a lot of it's fan footage, so we included a lot of that, some crowd shots and everything too. It was a massive successful tour, great time, packed out almost every single night. It wasn't when it wasn't packed out, it was close to it. So we just wanted to celebrate the tour, celebrate the fans, celebrate a great time, and just really make it in like a timestamp, if you will.
Yeah, and I think the style that you guys play, you can go out with different types of bands. I believe since you have a little bit of thrash, a little bit of everything, I think you could like that would help like for you to be on different type of tours.
I agree, definitely. And that was something cool about when we were coming up too, just playing locally, and there really wasn't any bands out there playing the style that we were doing back in 2011. And it's like we used to be on all the different bills, like death metal bills, thrash bills, this, that, and the other thing. And we always fit in well because it was always like a welcome break. Like, for example, when Obituary came around, I forget who else they were on the bill with or the tour with. I think Denial Fiend was one of the bands and a couple others. But it's pretty much all death metal. So it was like we were a welcome change because a lot of death metal fans are into like more of the heavy metal and thrash as well. So it was like kind of like a break in the I can't say monotony because it's not what it is, but it's like breaking like the growl, you know? It's like okay, everything's growl and speed, which is fun. But sometimes it's like, I want to hear something a little bit different. It's like after listening to 10 hours of Obituary or Nuclear Assault, I might want to listen to a little bit of Michael Schenker or a little bit of Kiss, something like that. Sprinkle a little bit of something else in there. It's like, hey, that's a little bit different sounding, but that's fun.
Yeah, no, and I know, I mean, you shared the stage with Overkill, Grim Reaper, Flotsam and Jetsam, Diamond Head, Exodus, Ingy Malmsteen. So you shared the stage with, like, that's what my point, with different type of bands.
Absolutely, yeah. And every single time was great for everything, everybody involved in that regards too. So we always had great praise from the different bands that we're playing with, um, and the crowds too. So like a crowd that enjoys Ingve, it's like they enjoyed us, no problem. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I saw that in 2018 when you put out your first Condemned to Hell, you actually shared the stage with OTEP. I'm like, yeah, that's a weird pairing.
Yeah, it worked out though. The same type of thing because the other band on that bill was The World Over. The World Over did the entire I think it's 2 month run with OTEP, and we had just done the last week with them because the third band support slot was interchanging throughout the entire course of the tour. Um, but their crew was OTEP's crew was saying straight up like we grew up on the same stuff that you're playing. Like this is great. We love it. And we kind of came to the conclusion too, where it's like OTIP was more of like the new metal sound. We were more of like the 70s, 80s sound, and World Over was more of a modern sound. And it was a great pairing because there's something for everybody and of all the different decade generational sounds. And it really worked well together. It was a good blend because nothing sounded the same, but it all had the same common ground.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about the writing process for this record. Uh, what was that like?
So this one, it was myself and Rich went into it, pretty heavy. So what we do is like the two of us get together, typically just guitars only, since we both play guitar as well. And we'll come in either with riffs. Sometimes we come in with completed songs, but 9 times out of 10, it's usually the two of us in a rehearsal room, and we just riff off of each other, record it all, and then I'll come home and put it into Guitar Pro and arrange things. So certain songs, like we'll get some riffs just straight up from there and almost like pre-arranged in advance. And then some songs took on a life of its own, like Phantom Land, for example. It took one of the riffs from our writing session, and then I started just coming up with more and more and more ideas as I was inputting the tablature. So it was almost like it took on a life of its own. It was almost phantom. It was very much like a ghostly song. Like I felt possessed, if you will. And it was like, oh man, I only used one riff from this entire session for this. Now I have these other 30 riffs that I could use for other stuff. It's great. So yes, once the ranging's done, then we go back into our proper instruments and we put it in and do a full arranging with the full band and make any necessary tweaks, get everything good to go. Lead guitarist will write the solos for it and go full speed ahead. But we did the pre-production, started it in March 2019 for the record, and we ended up recording it in August 2019. So that was we went
Yeah,
to
I'm sure
Urban
that
Studios. I'm sorry, go ahead.
you would have released this earlier if it hadn't, what happened, what everyone knows that happened. Obviously,
Exactly.
push this back.
Yep, 100%. And that's exactly what happened because we were like, oh man, this is gonna be great. Everything good, 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 good. We did the record in 6 days time at Pyramid Sound with Alex Perialis up in Ithaca, New York. And so I was like, okay, cool. So at the time, Alex was a the chairperson at Ithaca College and for the music department. So we had to arrange everything on his schedule too for semester breaks. So originally, like, okay, great, we're gonna come back up and mix, then come back up and master. And like you said, we know what happened. So everything got remote for a while, and eventually we got the record done, and everything's here and there from there. But yeah, it's been a wild ride and a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's one song that I had to Google what it was, Rapscallion, because I didn't know what it was, and now I know it's like a troublemaker. Because
Yep.
it's not like a very like I don't think a lot of people use that word.
Yeah, it came to me when the riff came to me. And it was the weirdest thing where it's like I was sitting there reading Dee Snider's book and then the riff just came in my head. And it's okay, just start humming it and then I'm humming along and then all of a sudden the word rapscallion just keeps coming to me in the chorus. So, okay, let me write this down. Let me record this, make sure it's good. And then just kind of evolved from there. But yeah, it's just a completely natural thing that happened.
Yeah, and I had to Google it because what the hell is a Rapscallion?
And not wrapped scallions either, right?
No, no, no. Yeah, so I had to Google it. I'm like, oh, okay, it's a troublemaker. Well, it sounds like a cool like song title, and it's got like that anthemic feel. Because I've there's some great bands right now, but I think something that is missing from the bands now, it's like that like those songs that feel anthemic and fun because now there's bands that are like very technical, but like they're so technical that sometimes you're like, yes, you're so technical, but sometimes like I don't know, I just want like a good fun riff.
I agree with you 100% with that on both sides. It's like there's a time and a place, I think, for everything. And like we use Ingve as an example of being one of the masters of the guitar out there. So, okay, we know he's a great player. He can play everything out under the sun, but he plays every note with feeling. So I think that's a big difference too. Like a lot of the guys out there nowadays, they're not playing with feeling anymore. And it's a shame, you know, it's like, and that's not saying everybody isn't playing with feeling, but that's one thing I think is largely missing nowadays from all the bands that we grew up with playing, you know, listening to, I should say. And it's a shame because that's something that really can't be taught. Or I'm sorry, I guess it can be taught, but then again, a lot of it comes from blues. So it's like studying the
Mhm.
blues. And I think that might be something that a lot of people lost because growing up, like when you're taking guitar lessons or anything, you're learning the blues scales, you're learning more blues songs. And a lot of that kind of skipped. It's just like, I don't know. It's almost like that there's a cultural shift, I guess, with the music, for lack of better terms, that it kind of bypassed a lot of the music from the 30s onward. And now it's just going like, okay, well, now we're going to start in the 70s and 80s. Like, well, you need to go back first and study the old music, you know? It's like I'm not sure if you took music lessons growing up or anything like that.
I tried, but I suck.
And never too late to get back into it.
Yeah.
But in let's say like even in orchestra in high school, it was the same thing where we would always have to go back and study the classical composers and learn from all that stuff. And so, okay, that definitely left some sort of benchmark in the music 100%. So, okay, what are they doing then? Okay, how can we apply this to today? And I think some of that there's a disconnect with that, unfortunately.
Yeah, and everyone wants to do songs with AI now.
Yeah, that's something in its entirety. Like that and backing tracks are two things I'm really afraid of seeing for the future. Because even with the backing tracks too, how do you know a band's even playing live anymore?
Or your laptop.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
The
like,
hard
I
drive failure
cannot
too.
play without my laptop.
Yeah, it's amazing that
Yeah.
guitars don't go out of tune anymore,
Yeah,
right?
I'm not a musician, but when I saw that about the laptop thing, with that guy from Falling in Reverse, I
Mhm.
was like, I'm like, do musicians really need a laptop to play?
Yeah, it's
Like, I don't know. In the 90s, no one had a fucking laptop.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's the thing of like we go in, we just play, we plug our amps in, and that's it. And that was one of the oddest compliments I had gotten so far about this record is the drum sound, where it's like, oh, you guys actually recorded real drums. Like, yeah, like, there's no samples. Like, no, there's none of that at all. It's just a natural drum sound on this album. It's a Tama snare, it's a Tama drum set, and it sounds like a Tama drum set.
Good, it's a good thing. Yeah, no, the album, has some pretty cool tunes. I like She Demon, Phantom Land, Rapscallion, and Army of the Dead. That's like one of the longest song on the record at almost 8 minutes. So that one, you wanted that epic feel to that one.
Yeah, that came out naturally with that, where it was originally kind of two songs, I guess you could say separately. Like the intro for that initially was thought of to be like an album intro, and then that just kind of
But
morphed into something else from there, and
awesome.
it became like three movements, if you will. Lyrically, that one was done by very largely inspired by the TV show Game of Thrones, and
I've never
uh,
seen that. No, I'm kidding. I know what it is.
I
So, and you know what's
actually,
funny? The album song is longer than what the Army of the Dead did on that episode.
you're you're right about that.
They,
What's funny
they,
is I got
they
into
were
the show
hardly
so
on the
late.
fucking, after all that teasing, all that thing, it was like a huge fucking letdown.
Exactly. It was like a whole episode just dedicated to them climbing up the wall right before the final battle, and that was it, right?
Yeah, and that episode for the final battle was so dark that you could hardly see.
Exactly.
And I'm like, what the point? What the point if you can't hardly see them? And like, it was so yeah, Army of the Dead. So yeah, inspired by Game of Thrones. So were you let down too?
Oh yeah. Um, I also actually had the benefit. I'm very much a late bloomer when it comes to new television. So my fiance and I decided to give the show a chance right after it was done completely. Because like, oh yeah, we keep hearing about things about Game of Thrones, that it's this and the other thing. And we decided, okay, just for the hell of it, let's pull on an episode. And we do. And okay, this is pretty damn cool. So we just keep watching it and just binge watch it after that. So we didn't have to wait all the weeks or the months or the years in between each season or episode. Okay, we could just sit down and do like a quick binge over the course of 2 months. No problem. No waiting. Yeah, we had the benefit of fast forwarding too if something was like, oh, okay, it's a little long in the tooth here.
Yeah, I did that with. I see Breaking Bad. I saw it when it was in the last season when I got into that show. So you have the longest song before, and the ending is in sickness and in health, and that's like the shortest track on the record with 2 minutes and 29. So you wanted to have like that, like quick, like super fast song to end the record.
Exactly. Nice little 1-2 punch. Get in, get out, have a good time.
Yeah, awesome. So I know you have the tour coming up. So I'm wondering, do you think that you will start to write a new one soon, or are you gonna take your time?
We've already started writing. We haven't actually done anything with regard to pre-production or arranging anything yet. It's just been doing some writing sessions. But probably we'll sit down and actually put more material into it together to actually formulate the next record. We'd like to have it ready to go this year. I'm not sure if that will happen yet, but we only time will tell because you never know. Maybe the writing bug will bite me
Yeah.
again, and then we'll be able to like get a record out before the Udo tour, or go into the studio, I should say, before the Udo tour, because there's no way we're actually gonna have the album released before then.
No, no, you can have it for next year.
Exactly, yeah.
You should focus on the one that's coming out this year. So yeah, the new album. When is it coming out exactly? It's April 12th, right?
Yes, sir.
Midnite Hellion, Kingdom, Immortal, and that would make a cool shirt.
Actually, we have them.
Yes,
They're
because yeah,
available on our Bandcamp site. Let me pull one. Hold on 1 second.
sure, man. Let's show some of the merch so people can see.
Definitely, yes.
So yeah, I see why you blurred it.
Ah, I'm sorry. Here we
Don't
go.
worry. I have okay. That looks cool. I think you have to put it like closer.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a cool. So are you selling that in the band camp and also yeah, that is a cool image that people can all enjoy because it really looks cool.
Oh,
So
thank you.
so yeah, Drew, it's been awesome talking with you tonight about Midnight Hellion, the album, and some classic things. Who thought I was going to talk about Columbia House in 2024?
Exactly. Hey, it's not a bad thing at all.
No, it's not a bad thing at all. So I'm gonna put the link for people who want to pre-order the album. Are you gonna have it on vinyl?
Oh yes, it's actually going to be on vinyl, cassette, and CD. So we're going to have all three formats ready to rock and roll for everybody.
Yeah.
And yes, we do have the shirts available on the Bandcamp website as well too.
If you want to distinguish yourself, you can put it on 8-track.
I actually did think about that. That and wax cylinders, like, maybe.
Who would buy an 8-track? Like maybe well, I'm surprised that cassettes are making a comeback.
Oh yeah,
Honestly.
definitely.
Uh,
Like,
because being my age, but I remember seeing an 8-track at my grandfather's house. So I've seen everything. So yeah, I'll put the link for people who want to get that. And do not miss Midnite Hellion this September with Udo in North America, because they're going to be playing September and October. So that should be fun.
absolutely, yes. It's going to be a blast coming back around America again, seeing everybody.
Awesome. So, Drew, I want to thank you for taking some time to chat with me today, not on the couch, but here virtually with me. It's been a blast. So, hope that much success for Midnite Hellion in the upcoming months. So, people, until next time, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much, Hector. This was a blast.
and goodbye. You too, man.